With a traffic alert for you right here at 5 o'clock, the Sherman-Minton Bridge is completely closed to vehicles right now in both directions after a crash in the eastbound lanes heading toward Louisville. The westbound lanes were already closed for construction. Here's a look from our Sky 11 drone. Department of Transportation officials tell us this closure could last well into the night. Right now, all traffic is being diverted and we are seeing some major traffic backups. And it is day 2 of back to school for JCPS. No 10 o'clock arrivals for students this year. The last student was dropped off by 7 on Thursday.
That's some good news. And while buses weren't the problem, car lines were. Bus cuts for JCPS magnet and traditional schools led to long car lines for the first day of school. And lines just like this blocking driveways, as you can see, and even some smaller streets.
Luckily, we're seeing a couple of examples today that burden is easing for many families. Our Ian Hardwood and photojournalist Emma Gefter show us how it improved from yesterday.
Following magnet bus route cuts across JCPS, the line at Farnsley Middle School was over 100 cars deep on the second day of school. The line is so long you can't even see Farnsley Middle School from the middle of the line. Here we are at Riverside Gardens Park, and the line stretches even further down to Campground Road. You can even see this is busy for industry. There's a semi-truck trying to turn around, completely blocking each side of the road. Worries over how traffic spillage could affect emergencies concerned former EMS driver Amanda Rye.
I mean, I feel really bad for all the parents that don't have the ability to transport their kids. I'm fortunate to where I actually choose work intentionally to be flexible in case of situations like this, but most parents don't have that option.
However, her experience improved dramatically after the first day, picking up her 7th grade daughter in 41 minutes over the 90-minute wait on day 1. Still, in an email from Farnsley staff, she found out there's 650 car riders this year.
But to jump up 400, car riders from last year, I mean, that's just insane.
The school changed how students go out to cars because of the increase. Now they're called by number when their ride shows up. Other schools got creative with their pickup plan too. This is one of 2 lines at Male High School coming up from the back of the school, trying to prevent traffic from spilling over out onto Preston Highway. But once cars start to leave, that's when the traffic piles up. Despite a line that doubled back on itself at the school, it only took us 10 minutes to leave Male. Nancy Morgan picked up her grandsons after their father said the morning drop-off went well.
I think they've done a good job with getting this thing organized here today and this week. I'm sorry that we have to do this. I'd love it if the boys could have a bus.
While there are improvements, having to do this at all still comes with a cost.
I was actually trying to go back to school for nursing the next year, but until things like this are resolved, that's probably going to get delayed again.
And a JCPS spokesperson told us today that their new police force was out at schools directing traffic, delivering on the superintendent's promise from last night.
So there are a few different ways you can keep up with JCPS transportation. You can download the EduLike app to track the buses. You can also visit the bus teller and the district's transportation website. You can also call the 502-485-RIDE hotline and ask them your questions.
And this year, some families who are driving their students to school will receive a gas stipend. Now, the district says that the majority will get $5 a day, while free and reduced lunch families will get $10 a day. Exactly how much you get depends on how many students are in your family and what school they go to. There will be no stipend for absent days. JCPS says sign-ups for the program will begin sometime this month, but an exact date hasn't been released. Payments are scheduled to start the week of September 9th. Well, now to the other big story here at 5. A high-ranking official in Mayor Craig Greenberg's administration is out.
Keisha Dorsey fired from her role as Deputy Chief of Staff this week. Today, she says she is ready to fight it. Senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez has more on the issues she's reported. So, Isaiah, what claims is she making here?
Well, Shay, Connie, to put it briefly and very quickly here, they are strong allegations here. We're talking about claims of an oppressive work environment, one that discriminates against women, particularly women of color. But the mayor suggests there is a different issue at play here. Yet another shift within Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg's administration.
All of us, myself included, need to be accountable to who we work for, which is the people of Louisville. And we are stewards of taxpayer dollars that have a responsible to excel at our work and to meet professional standards.
His now former Deputy Chief of Staff, Keisha Dorsey, fired on Wednesday, just 2 days after receiving a letter of reprimand. Now she's calling for an investigation into Greenberg's office.
Give her a hand, y'all. Keisha.
Only WHAS11 was there Friday as Dorsey spoke at the popular Bishop's Table, a weekly roundtable of community members and city officials.
I've been afraid to even show up in the community.
She was emotional as she detailed a turbulent week from her perspective.
And I cried not because I'm sad, I cried because I'm free. You did me the biggest favor, David James.
David James is one of Greenberg's deputy mayors. He's the one who sent Dorsey her, quote, final warning for allegedly lobbying a council member for a proposed ordinance and then trying to hide it from the mayor's office. Dorsey, a former council member herself, says she was working as a private citizen to enhance support for veterans.
And we will take down a corrupt administration that is trying to oppress the voices of women.
She submitted ethics complaints against the mayor's office for discrimination, citing a hostile work environment disproportionately affecting women and minority leaders.
We have seen a lot of high-profile women, particularly women of color, in high positions in your administration leave for one reason or another. Does that concern you?
I'm incredibly proud of the diversity in the mayor's office across all of Metro government. People from all walks of life, from all races, genders, levels of experiences are part of the team that I value. We're going to continue to move forward in that fashion.
And an attorney for the Metro Ethics Commission I talked to today over email confirmed they received a submission from Dorsey through their tip line. But he clarified tips aren't official complaints yet under the ethics code until that person goes under oath. We're told the commission will review this case at its next meeting on Thursday and then decide what steps, if any, to take. Shay.
All right, Isaiah, thanks. We know you'll keep an eye on that one. New Chapel EMS is ending its emergency ambulance services in Clark County. Former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll founded and ran the department for 20 years. A local fire district ended their contract with New Chapel on Wednesday, forcing the agency to evacuate its headquarters within 30 days. The Fire Protection District owns the building that New Chapel works out of. They were 2 years into a 10-year contract, but because they were not getting adequate services, they decided to end it early. New Chapel says it was providing a fire service, but doesn't plan on fighting this. The spokesperson says they were trying to fix the departmental issues, but they'll follow what the community wants.
Our hope had been that the community would have the patience to work with us on that and go along with it, but we understand this is really an emotional issue. We understand that this is something close to the heart for a lot of people.
Heartland Ambulance is being brought in on a 3-month contract. This is a nationwide company that works in Indiana and in Texas.
Well, today we are getting our first look at the ransom note sent to the Jefferson County Clerk's office in a cyber attack that shut down all branches for multiple days last month. And here's a look at that message. The Jefferson County Clerk's office says it believes it was a random bot attack sent from across the web. And it may have been a result of hackers taking advantage of the earlier CrowdStrike global IT outage. Now, in the note, the hackers offered to restore all of the office's systems in exchange for an unknown amount of money, and only if the clerk's office did not inform anyone of the attack. Now, it reads in part with some words missing here. You'll notice there will be no bad news for your company after successful negotiations for both sides, but there will be plenty of bad news in case of failed negotiations. Now, the Jefferson County Clerk's office says it never contacted the hackers about negotiating a ransom, and no data was breached or compromised in the hack. The clerk's office tells us they will be in Frankfort next week answering lawmakers' questions about that investigation. Taking a look outside at an absolutely gorgeous Friday afternoon.
Don't you love it when the good weather comes on the weekend?
And stays for a little while, right?
That's right. It's going to be a treat this weekend into early next week. First, a quick traffic reminder that the Sherman-Minton Bridge is shut down. Now, already the westbound lanes were shut down because of construction, but the eastbound lanes earlier crashed. Has it closed for possibly several more hours. That traffic being diverted from the Lee Hamilton 265 to 64 westbound. Or you need to head to Lee Hamilton 265 to 65, or head to the East End Bridge and get on 71 or 64 on the east side of town. So that is causing kind of a mess for southern Indiana drivers. Still seeing a lot of red around 265 and 65 northbound right now. Weather-wise, this is the good news. 81 at Bowman, 84 at Louisville International. Northwest wind bringing down the dew points, bringing down that measure of water content in the air, and bringing down, of course, the humidity and the mugginess. So there's that northwest breeze. Upper 70s, lower 80s across the area, and a mostly sunny sky as well. We're going to keep that north breeze through the weekend, and the humidity is going to get super low, dropping even more over the next 24 hours. So low temps tonight in the 50s, lower 60s, and tomorrow afternoon about as good as it can get this time of the year in the upper 70s and lower 80s, and great out there at the ballpark. First pitch out at Slugger Field, 7:15. Temperatures in the 70s for most of this weekend. Now, after a beautiful weekend forecast, we'll look ahead to the next rain chances ramping up coming up in our Weather Impact Team forecast.
Looks good. Thank you, Ben. The man accused of driving drunk and crashing into a police officer was found guilty today. London City Police Officer Logan Medlock died as a result of that crash. Kentucky State Police say the crash happened in October of 2022 at an intersection in London, Kentucky. 36-year-old Casey Bird crashed into the police cruiser. Officer Medlock died on the scene. A jury found Bird guilty of murder and driving a car while intoxicated. The jury recommended a 20-year sentence.
Remembering Serenity McKinney, she's the 3-year-old from Shelbyville who died at the hands of her own mom and mom's boyfriend back in 2021. Well, today would have been her birthday, and this weekend her family's honoring her memory and raising money for ECHO. That's the Exploited Children's Help Organization. Serenity was first reported missing in January of 2022 after her family hadn't heard from her. Police later discovered her body in a suitcase in Bullitt County. They charged her mom and mom's boyfriend with her murder. They were later convicted. Her grandmother, Melody Roller, says the little girl was abused for some time before she died, but she doesn't think the little girl recognized the signs of abuse or how to communicate them. That's why they're teaming up with ECHO to raise awareness and raise money for the nonprofit dedicated to helping vulnerable children.
These kids are human beings and they have the rights. They do. And we need to make sure that they are safe and they're comfortable and they know the difference between love and abuse. And that's one of the reasons why we teamed up with ECHO. That's what they do.
Tomorrow's memorial ride starts at noon in Finchville. The group will then ride to Serenity's Memorial in Bullitt County before ending at Mike Linig's right around 3 o'clock. That ride is free to join and anyone can donate online. The money goes to preventing and reducing child abuse through education.
More information tonight on why Colonial Gardens is up for sale. The developer who owns the property says it was always their intention to renovate and invest before passing it on to a new owner. Right now, that property is on the market for $4.9 million. The president of Underhill Developments, Jeff Underhill, explained they obtained Colonial Gardens from a bid through the city, and their plan was to redevelop it and then sell it, but COVID and a few other events pushed their sale back.
I've got my eyes on other projects that are very time consuming, and that's effectively what we are. We are redevelopers. We're not buy and hold guys.
Underhill says they will continue to have ties in the area. He's a partner of the BA Colonial Restaurant.